If you see this model, there are two views given. This left hand side view is assembly view and right hand side one is exploded view. It is called. Exploded means you put a bomb inside this assembly and you trigger it, then all the parts will come apart, and exploded view is shown so that you can get what is inside the assembly. What is inside means how the parts are assembled. Okay? Now once these two views are given, then other views are called your production drawings. These are production drawings, these views. In this one, figure 3 shows top view of the base, 5.1 front view of the base. So these two views are of base and these two views are of second part cap. Base one is this at the bottom, this is base, this is cap. These two are called bushings and there are 6 bolts which are mounted on top of it and their dimensions are given here. इथं दिसतात ते बुशचे आणि बोल्टचे डायमेन्शन आहेत. So there are in total 4 parts you need to create, and these bolts and this bushing is to be used twice. Part to be made once, used twice. Bolt made once, used 6 times. So let me show you the complex parts first. The most complex one here is base, right? If you look at the base, it is actually made up of so many extrudes and their dimensions can be found in this base, top view and front view. Let's start with creating the base now. For that you need to first set the working directory. Here I have some working directory double bearing already present. Now I am doing this because inside my working directory I am creating another directory. This is because now out of these 16 components, at least 10 will be having base as the one of the features, one of the component. Out of 16 assemblies, 10 will be having base. At least 6-7 will be having cap. Bolts are almost in all of the assemblies. So it is very difficult to keep track of which part is made for which assembly. And that's why what we do is for one assembly, we create different directory. And in that directory, all the parts which are necessary for that particular assembly will be stored. Okay? And that's why I have created this double bearing assembly. I already have made these parts earlier. What I will do is now I will create them once again. So let me delete everything once. You must also see that in this folder, this is my startup directory. In all your computers which are in the lab, startup directory is desktop. So on the desktop you will find these trail files. दिसतात ना, प्रत्येक ठिकाणी आहेत ना डेस्कटॉपवरती ट्रेल फाइल्स. डेस्कटॉपवर नसतील तर माय डॉक्युमेंट्स मध्ये असतील, है ना. whenever you open a new version of Proe, one trail file will be created. So I have at least opened Proe 8 times since I installed it yesterday. That's why 8 times trail file is created. Now these files are not needed for you, but for professionals these files are very important because these files, all of these files, they keep track of what you do when you open the drawing. So all the mouse clicks are even stored. All the dimensions will also be stored. Everything will be stored, whatever you do. And if there is some error, let's say, and Proe crashes, then you don't get a chance to save anything. And that's why these trail files are useful. In that case, you can take the trail file and run it in the Proe, and it will show you a video of what you have been doing in that version or in that session. So for each session there is different trail file created. Okay, I am starting with new part. You first uncheck this button and then give the name to the part, base, say okay, MMNS part solid, okay. Now here let's look at the dimensions first. This is the top view, this is the front view. I have this feature. Now this depth of this बेसचा जो बेस आहे त्याची डेप्थ किती आहे 30 here, and the dimensions of it are given here. So let's create that first. Extrude, placement, define. I also have told you so many times to create the extrude first, and inside the extrude you must create the sketch. Why it is necessary to follow? Because if you create the sketch and then if you try to extrude it, many a times, no, anytime it does not give you any error. It just shows you that it cannot create extrude. But you never get to know what is exactly happening. Why is the extrude not possible? That's why what you do is you first go inside the extrude and create the sketch there. And then when you are coming out of the extrude, it shows you why it is not creating the extrude. It is creating that particular extrude. Okay. So I am currently inside the extrude. I am creating these axes for reference purpose. I also know the shape of that body. Axis create केल्यामुळे काय झालंय बघितलं का? Now I can create this sketch symmetric directly. Symmetry automatic establish होते इथे. होते ना? And this is, I guess, this was the shape of that particular assembly. मी खालचे 4 लाइन्स का डिलीट केल्या? Because those were overlapping. Now I know the dimensions 22.5, 45, 22.5, that means it must be 90, 70. $10 and $15. This axis is moving away from this line. So I'm fixing it first. Now this is the sketch which you needed. The depth of this is given 30, right? And if you see, it is symmetrically extruded on both sides, right? If you draw one axis at the center in this plane, in that case you can see that it is symmetric around this particular axis, horizontal axis, which is drawn at the middle, if it is drawn at the middle. So it is better to create it as symmetric extrude because it will give you some advantage afterwards. In the second step, I am removing some material. Now all these commands, use and line, I have already taught you. Did I? Do you know how to create use? How to make use of that? माहिती का तुम्हाला नाही? This command, use. Everybody knows it, na? What it does? It uses the geometry which is already created before this sketch. I am making use of symmetry features so many times because it reduces my efforts all the time. $22.5 and 45. Now this 45 is not needed, I guess. And through all, right? So you have got this shape now. Next thing is to create this small extrude here. This one. दिसतंय तुम्हाला मी कुठला दाखवतोय तो? इथं तर काही दिसत नाहीये. हा वाला. For that extrude is of this one, total depth is 40 and this inside depth is 30. That means this is 5 on either side, right? I'm again making use of this top edge now, and we have two circles here. Both of them are having same radius, and it is closed here at the bottom. Now what I'm doing is I'm just trying to make this shape, this one here, only this shape. These holes I'll be creating afterwards. Now draw the center line in the middle because everything is symmetric again. Before that I'll create the shape which I require. बरोबर ना असाच हवंय. And then you use constraints. Center distance is given as 35. What else is given? This depth, is it given? This one is 15 here. And radius is given 12.5 here. Now there is no other gray dimension visible. That means our sketch is perfect. Extrude it by 5 on the outer side. Now here is something new which will be taught today. What you have to do is you just select this because the same extrude you need to create on the other side, right? And if you see this front plane, now I have intentionally created it symmetric extrude because now front plane comes in the middle. Now I can use that front plane as the mirror plane and create this extrude on the other side by using mirror feature. So just select this extrude here, click on this mirror and select front plane. Say done, and you'll find that it will be created on other side. Okay. Now extrude is as usual, if you see it is inactive. Once you select any of the this mirror is inactive. Once you select any of the feature from this model tree, then all these two options become visible, mirror and pattern. This one is pattern here, we'll use it. This one also we can use it right now. So once you create this mirror, the next step is create the holes, placement, define, go to this plane, this surface. Now again something new to be taught. I need to find center of this circle, and because these two, this one, this quarter circle and this semicircle, these two are concentric, right? So instead of giving this 35 dimension once again, what I can do is I can take use of this surface, this quarter circle, find this center, and around this center now I can draw the circle. So for that there is something called references here inside the sketch. When you are in sketching, then go to sketch toolbar, then go to references, and just select this circular part, and it will take that as a reference. And now you can find the center here. You can now make use of this center. 7.5 radius, then done. Extrude it inside, remove material, through all. झाला आपला हवाय तसा. Now next step is only to create these holes at the top surface. Let's do that. All the circles are of must be of its same radius. That is what given. What is given is 4.5 diameter, 15 deep, 6 places. So these all circles are of diameter 4.5. Their depth is 15, and they are at 6 places: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And they must also be symmetric, because that's what they look like. They are symmetric around vertical axis and horizontal axis at the middle. म्हणून मग ते सिमेट्रीचा पण मी वापर करून घेणार, सो दॅट आय नीड नॉट गिव्ह डायमेन्शन्स, मेनी डायमेन्शन्स हियर. Let's check whether they are symmetric. This one is left here. आहेत ना symmetric आता? Around vertical and horizontal, both the axes. And now you start giving dimensions. This distance 7.5. Distance between the centers, okay, that was not needed, because this is 7.5, that means this one is also 7.5, and they are symmetric, that means their center distance is already 15. So we have saved one more dimension here, this 15 dimension we have saved. This must be 4.5, and all the radius are same, all the radii are same. Only this one was left to make the similar radius. So what I did is I used this constraint, equality constraint, to create equal length, equal radius, same curvature. Okay. This dimension is given as 5, I guess. Is it given here? हे बघा इथं का नाही? Here is it. This and this is in line, so I need to assume this dimension, I guess, and that assumption is that it is exactly at center, and that's why this distance comes out to be 5. So this is the only dimension which we need to assume at this moment. So all the dimensions are given, only these two dimensions were needed. If you make symmetry everywhere, horizontal and vertical symmetry, then only these two dimensions are needed, nothing else. So this is how it must look like. Extrude it inside again, remove material by depth 15 na, and once you do that it will look like this. Save it now. Close the window, create new part, cap, MMNS. Cap also has similar dimensions, inside 30 depth, outside depth 40. So because these two are getting assembled with each other, so their dimensions must be same, otherwise they cannot be assembled. So this is 30, this one is 40. This rectangle is having 12.5, 70 depth, 70 as the length. So I'll create the first rectangle. The basic feature which I found there was a rectangle. This rectangle I need to create of 12.5 by 70 and depth of 30. I'll create that first. Again I am using symmetry. Depth is 12.5 and length is how much? 70. Extrude it symmetrically by 30. Then again extrude, placement define on this surface. Here what I am doing is I am doing this 5mm extrude. Okay, this 5mm extrude is of this 12.5 millimeter radius, like this. चष्मा सारखं जे दिसते ते. For that again I am taking reference of this top edge, so I'll be using that top and bottom edge. Create a circle first. Make sure that it is tangent with the upper line. Red color I am intentionally doing that so that it becomes tangent. Similarly, it must be symmetric. Centers are symmetric with each other. For symmetry, center axis is more important. Center line is important. If center line is not there, symmetry cannot be done. And then you delete unwanted segments so that you can create extrudable shape like this. ठीक है? जे मी काय केलं बघितलं का तुम्ही? एक असा शेप हवा मला. I first broken it into different shapes. I see that there are two circular things, so I directly created circles. There was a rectangle, so I directly created two lines. And then when I want to create this shape, then I am removing the unwanted segment so that I get this shape. And once I get the shape, then I will be giving dimensions later on. Now in this case, only one dimension is needed. That is this center distance 35. And there is no other dimension needed. Needs to be extruded by 5. You select it and mirror it across this front plane, and then create those circular holes. For that, instead of going to sketch and references, you can directly use it. यूज केलं तरी चालतंय. यूज करायचं आणि नंतर डिलीट सेगमेंट करून त्याला डिलीट करायचं, so that its reference remains as it is. and the geometry gets changed. ठीक आहे, त्याचा रेफरन्स मिळाला आहे आपल्याला. हा त्याचा शॉर्टकट आहे तिकडे जाण्यापेक्षा. and then you draw these circles. आता मला त्यांनी हा डिस्टन्स विचारला का नाही विचारत आहे तो, because it is already given in the last sketch. Done. Now create those holes on the top surface. For that I am creating the center lines first. तर मला माहिती आहे की हे आणि हे मधली सेंटर लाईन इथे आली पाहिजे, पण मी त्याच्यावर काढत नाही. कारण काय, हे फक्त याच्यावरती सेंटर लाईन काढून होत नाही काम. हा सेंटरला राहत नाही तिला. I need to give coincident constraint, and to make it easy to give coincident constraint I am drawing them apart from each other so that I can select them separately. ते दोघांना नंतर सिलेक्ट करणं सोपं जाते बाजूला बाजूला काढले तर. And then the 6 circles you need to create of same radius. Use symmetry again. And now this distance is 7.5, right? Diameter is 4.5, and there is one more dimension from this side. It must be at distance of 5. Extrude it inside, remove material. Through all का केलं, so that I need not give that dimension. आणि मला माहिती आहे ते थ्रू आहे म्हणून होत. ठीक आहे. So this completes cap. Save it, close it, new, bushing. Okay. Now bushing can also be created with revolve. For revolve you need to create center line first. It has something like this feature, right? So delete unwanted segments. इथं 3 ओव्हरलॅपिंग झाले असतील एकमेकांवर, ते सगळे डिलीट करून टाकायचे. And you get this shape. Then what you know, inside diameter is 11, middle one 15, and then outside 20. Give this 5.5. What happened? हा किती होता? 15 ना? So this must be 7.5. And this one 20, so this must be 10. This height is 5 in this one is given here as 40. Now you got the shape, revolve it, and your bushing is ready. Save it, close it. New bolt. Now I'm intentionally keeping it on so that I can show you what happens if you keep it on. Again, bolt is a solid of revolution, but this particular hexagon is not a solid of revolution. So I'll simplify my job by extruding it. Create a circle of 4.5 millimeter diameter. Extrude it by how much? 25. And then on top of it, draw this hexagonal head. Hexagon can be obtained directly from pellet. Otherwise, now see here, so many shapes are available. Decagon, which stands for 10 sides. Dodecagon, I guess 20, na? Yeah, 12 sides maybe. I don't know. Heptagon 7, hexagon 6 sides. So you just drag and drop it inside your sketch. Fine. Once you drop it, there will be some symbol at the middle. Now that is its holder. By using, if you just drag this holder, crosshair holder, then you can move this. And on the bottom side, on the right hand side, there are these small two arrows. By clicking on them, you can change the shape, size, and by clicking on this right hand side top button, a rotate circle symbol है तो, by clicking on this you can rotate it. Fine. Plus, same things can be also done by using this button, which this menu bar which comes here. I don't want to rotate it, so I'll give 0 degrees rotation. And scale, let it be, I will decide it later because that dimension is given in some other way. If you see the hexagon which is provided to us, it has 7 dimension between two parallel faces. So I'll delete this dimension and give another dimension between two parallel faces, which is 7. Extrude it by the length of 4. And bolt is also prepared. So all the parts are done. How much time did I take? Then you go for assembly. There is one more feature which is still remaining. This top portion which I need to create by using maybe chamfer. So this one we'll see in some other part how to create that. Okay. That bolt head which is rounded. So round जो केलेला आहे ना बोल्टला तो दुसऱ्या कुठल्या तरी पार्ट मध्ये दुसऱ्या कुठल्या तरी असेंबली मध्ये मी तुम्हाला दाखवतो. Today we are not having sufficient time. Now let me show you how to create assembly. For that I need to first save this bolt and close this window. Create new, go to assembly, double bearing, use default cancel करायचं किंवा हे ठेवलं तरी चालते because all the dimensions are taken from parts. We are not creating any part inside the assembly. So for you guys only, for this semester only, this option if you keep it on only in the assembly, it's fine. But by general rule, we'll keep it off. And if you keep it on, it won't ask you any further questions. If you keep it off, then this window will come. Here you have to select MMNS ASM design. Again, inside this assembly now, all the things are same, similar to what we had in a part module. तुम्ही जर का राइट हँड साइडचा टूल बार बघितला So all the things are same. Even extrude is there, evolve is there. So all the commands are same. Only these two commands are new. And out of these, you will be using only one command, which is assemble. या खालच्याला हातचा लावायचा नाही तुम्ही. इथे असं कर्सर असा पण न्यायचा ना. ठीक आहे. फक्त एवढंच करायचं. इथे assemble वरती क्लिक करायचं. ठीक आहे. Got it? Now once you click on this button, it will show you this window. It is asking you which part do you want to assemble. So I'll ask it to assemble this base part, which is the basic feature. इथं जर का आपण ड्रॉइंग मध्ये बघितलं तर बेस वरती आधारित बाकीचे सगळे पार्ट असेंबल केलेत ना. सो बेस इज द बेसिक फीचर. सो बेसिक पार्ट I will assemble that first. Select base, so open, and it is inside the assembly. Now here again there are so many options, just like extrude, so many options are there. You never touch any option. What you have to do is just go here to automatic and make it default. बाकी कुठेही टच नाही करायचा. And then say OK. And your part is assembled. First part is assembled. Okay? Only for the first part, when you import it, you need to make it default so that it goes to the default location. त्याचे coordinate system align होऊन जातात एकमेकांशी. ठीक आहे. आपण प्लेसमेंट करतोय म्हणजे काय इथे when I am assembling, I am actually giving placements of the different parts inside that assembly. Once I give base, now according to base I will give reference, placement reference of all other parts so that those can be assembled. Okay? So let's import second part now. Import. That will be cap. Say open. आणि अशी cap बाजूला दिसेल तुम्हाला आलेली. Now here you know that this bottom surface of the cap, हा जो bottomचा surface आहे, this must be aligned with this top surface. Now from second part onwards, पहिले पार्टला काय केलं आपण? डिफॉल्ट. काय केलं? मोठ्याने म्हणा. मोठ्याने अजून एकदा म्हणा. हां, हे लक्षात ठेवायचं बरं का. फर्स्ट पार्ट डिफॉल्ट. From second part onwards, we need to go to placement. Okay? And then you select the surfaces which you want to align, nothing else. Select this surface and this surface. They are aligned to each other now. Practical Now once I give this bottom surface and this top surface alignment, now this body cannot move away from this top surface. ह्या सरफेसला तर कधीच नाही सोडणार आता. तो कुठे इकडे तिकडे मूव्ह होईल पण त्या सरफेसला नाही सोडणार. तो रोटेट पण होऊ शकतो असं पण त्या सरफेसला नाही सोडणार. आता हे रोटेट मी फक्त त्या पार्टला करतो बरं, त्या पूर्ण असेंब्लीला नाही. इफ यू वॉन्ट टू रोटेट ऑल असेंब्ली at once, then your earlier mouse buttons are okay. You can use them. Like if you just click on the middle mouse button, everything will rotate. Okay. If you just want to rotate the part which you are assembling, then you need to press Control and Alt button simultaneously, and then click on middle mouse buttons. ठीक है? जरा सा complex है. Control Alt simultaneously, and then middle mouse button. That will rotate only the part which you are assembling currently. Now I know that this surface, this side and this side here must be aligned with each other. And once I give this constraint, it can now move only along this face. And now I need to give last constraint, which says new constraint. This surface and this surface must be aligned with each other. And now here your assembly completes. Once the assembly of the part completes, then you look here, status which is shown fully constrained. If this fully constrained comes, if status is fully constrained, that means your assembly is done. Okay. Now, if it is not fully constrained, that means if any of the constraint is not given, then status is partially constrained. And if it is partially constrained, in that case, there will be this small rectangle which is shown just on the left hand side of the part in the model. इसे त्या पार्ट नेमच्या लेफ्ट हँड साईडला छोटासा रेक्टँगल दिसतो बघा. काही वेळेला काय करतात मुलं फक्त एकमेकांवरती सरफेस आणून चिटकवून सोडून देतात, कन्स्ट्रेंट देत नाही. पण त्याच्यासाठी मार्क नाही आहे. If you forget to give constraint or if you don't give constraint intentionally because you don't know how to give constraint, in that case you will not be awarded any marks. And to get to know whether the part is assembled or not, we look at that small rectangle. If that rectangle is found, in that case your assembly is not yet done. Okay? म्हणजे हा रेक्टँगल गेला पाहिजे काही झालं तरी. हा रेक्टँगल असेल तर काय होतं दाखवत तुम्हाला मी आता. इथे ड्रॅगचा एक सिम्बॉल आहे, त्याला पकडायचं पार्टला आणि ड्रॅग करून बघायचं बघा. इट मीन्स दॅट दिस पार्ट कॅन मूव, and if part can move, it is not assembled. बरोबर आहे ना. So let's assemble it again. Fully constrained, say okay. And now if I want to drag it, it cannot be dragged. Okay. And now that rectangle has also disappeared. Now next part, bushing, open, placement. This cylindrical surface with another cylindrical surface. But when I do that, this other end of the bushing is going inside, which is not required by me. So for that what I am doing is, I just have to flip it. Okay? Now flip can be done from here or from here. Now only one constraint is needed to align this surface with this side of the bushing. For that, new constraint, select this surface and this surface, fully constrained, and then you say okay. Similarly, you assemble second bushing, आणि हे तुम्ही constraint कुठल्या ऑर्डर मध्ये देता ते इम्पॉर्टंट नाही आहे. Even for assembling these circular components, cylindrical components, you can align axes too. You can align both the axes or you can align cylindrical surfaces. Both are similar. जाऊन बसला आतमध्ये and your job is done. Next thing is to align bolt. Now you see what has happened. Because bolt was prepared in inches. आता बोल्टच्या समोर ती बाकीची असेंबली काय झाली आहे, पिल्लू झाली आहे है ना. ते पिल्लू काढायचं असेल तर काय करायचं, बोल्टला ओपन करायचं. Now this is a remedy. In actual practice, you need to uncheck that button. Okay? So that you can select the unit system in which you want to work. Now, if you forgot to do that, then you can find the same option here. Go to Edit, Setup, Units, MMKS or MMNS. Say Set, Convert or Interpret. I want to interpret right now and say OK. Done. And then you save it, close it, go and import it inside the assembly once again. And now both are of the similar dimensions, and now you can assemble them. fully constrained, say done. अशाच प्रकारे बाकीचे 5 बोल्ट असेंबल करायचे. Once you assemble all the 5 bolts, then your assembly is complete. Fine. Then you save it and your job is done.